What is going on, everybody? We are diving into week 3 of the NFL, looking at the lines as they drop on Tuesday night for the Sunday slate, Monday slate, and the Thursday night game. So, taking a look here just to touch base on how we did last week. We are up, bounced back from our disastrous Thursday night where we lost 4 units. We are actually up 1.8 on Monday, and then we were up 3.2 on Sunday. So bounce back. Now we're plus units on the season, plus units over the week. Definitely a good bounce back, get right week for us here. But let's dive in. We have the Dolphins Bills. This is going to be a tough game. I mean, Bills destroyed the Jets. The Dolphins look worse than the Jets right now. It's going to be a tough one. Um, I don't even. I'm staying right away from this game. I can definitely. The only thing I see is an under, because of the philosophy that if it's one team that's going to be mostly contributing to the points, you take the under. Do I think the Bills could certainly drop 50 themselves this game? Do I think that's possible? No. I mean, if you look at last week, the Bills were 30 points to the Jets. I think they ended up with 14, or 10. I think they ended up with 10. So yeah, just a complete blowout there. Granted, that would have hit the under here, but that's kind of the only line I would touch here. I do want to take a look. What is the team? Oh, that seems awfully high for the Dolphins. I'm probably taking the under team total on the Dolphins there. That seems pretty low or pretty high for them. But again, it's just a game I'm probably not going to touch too much. Possibly the under if you really wanted to play it, but we'll dive into that tomorrow and see how that looks. But yeah, not a fun game to bet. Not a fun game really all around because you don't really know how quick the Bills are going to get out. You got to assume they're going to win relatively easily, but you just don't know, how quick they're getting there. Next, we got the Packers Browns. Again, the Packers looked very good. The Browns look not very good. Plus, 8.5 points is an awful lot on the Packers team that mostly relying on their defense. Granted, their offense has been good and they, obviously made things happen, but it's really their defense that's winning them these games. If we take a look at the game line here, yeah, this just seems like probably leaning plus 8.5 to the Browns. Over a touchdown. That definitely seems like good value there. The over under seems about right. Like I said, the Packers defense is kind of what they've been relying on. But I could certainly see the Packers winning by a touchdown. So I mean, even if you want to take the plus, we'll take the extra point for. If this was plus money, I would take the plus 7.5 if you could find that, but probably not looking there. This is a tough one just because of how good the Packers defense has been. I do like the over here. I mean, 2 touchdowns, a field goal. Flacco's been slinging. He's been connecting with his team. But the Packers defense just has been very good. So I'm probably staying away from that. If anything, like I said, taking the Packers plus 8.5. Or Browns 8.5. Now, this is an interesting one. The Eagles, I don't think look as good as they have been. Their defense has, holes and opportunities. I think the Chiefs should have beat them in that game. Tough seeing, Travis Kelce obviously hands it to him at the goal line. A couple key plays that just didn't connect for the Chiefs. But the Eagles have yet to throw. I mean, like they saw the interview, not really the interview, the trash talk with Chris Jones, and he said, "Dude, you don't even have 100 yards." And Jalen Hurts is like, "Yeah, but we won." You're a Super Bowl contender, and your quarterback hasn't thrown for over 150 yards yet. I mean, that just doesn't look good. Doesn't look like a complete team. I think that's going to definitely disrupt the dynamic of the AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Hurts. Their offensive coordinator. There's just definitely a weird vibe there. You can't just give it to Saquon every single down. And granted, it's worked, but if we think about it, week one against the Cowboys, you expect them to win that. But he was still a battle, and Saquon ran all over him. But you look at the Chiefs, they had no business winning that game. The Chiefs defense held them to what they held. It was the Chiefs offense that just couldn't put things together. But yeah, that was not a good game for the Eagles. And Jalen Hurts had 103 passing yards. So Chris Jones was right in a sense. Now, if we're looking at the game here, I do think they beat the Rams. Don't love the -3.5 on that bout. The team total, I do like the Rams getting the over here. Like I said, I don't think the Eagles defense has been outstanding. Stafford's a veteran quarterback. He's going to be able to, see defenses a lot better than, some rookies or some newer level quarterbacks. The Chiefs are out 3 wide receivers. I mean, Hollywood Brown went down for a little bit. They don't have Rashee Rice. They don't have Xavier Worthy. So they didn't even have, they're playing with their wide receiver 4 as their main wide receiver for a whole quarter in that game. And then granted, your wide receiver 3 is the one that comes back on to play wide receiver 1. It's not like they're a complete team right now. And their offense still put up, I think they had 14 points or 17 points. I can't remember. But the Rams are definitely a lot more explosive. They got Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Tutu Atwell. I think this is going to be more of a high score game. I think Jalen Hurts is going to hear the rumblings, hear the talk. He's going to see it on social media that he can't throw. I could see him certainly coming out and throwing here, so this could definitely look into a shootout. I like the Rams over team total on this one if we're looking at just, early game lines. Not dying to pick that, pick any of them right now, but that's kind of what I'm leaning. Then, if Falcons Panthers is an interesting one. I do like the Panthers here. I would bump it if it's plus money up to 6.5, -104. I'm probably leaving it, but I do like the Falcons here to cover, up to a touchdown. I wouldn't go above a 6.5 if you can find it. Heading over here, the team props. Okay. Yeah, the under on the Panthers here honestly isn't bad. 2 touchdowns, a field goal. I can certainly see them, ending up with 18 points or 17 points on this game. The Falcons are definitely just a better complete team. That's kind of all it really comes down to is they look better on offense, defense, special teams, and this Panthers team just hasn't figured it out with Bryce Young there. So I like the under Panthers total here, or the Falcons to cover 5.5. Heading over to the Jets Bucks, exactly 7 here is an interesting one. The Bucks obviously, were dogs last week, pulled out a win there. Don't know if I'm really loving the fact that they the Bucks were a dog last week, so certainly got their game here. I can definitely see overlooking this game. Had a big game last week. Looking ahead to this into next week and kind of just forgetting about the Jets. I can see this one being close. Hopefully, the Jets defense can figure things out. But yeah, generally that's what they've done. Anytime the Jets were playing, it used to always be an underlock. Obviously, the 3 games this year, they gave up 30 points to the Bills, 34 points to the Steelers. Don't see any reason. The Bucks certainly have the weapons to put up 30 points on the Jets here, and their defense hasn't looked great. With that said, I'm not going to bet that the Bucks are going to put up 30 points. It's definitely a possibility. It's definitely something in their wheelhouse. I do like the the -7 here. I do think they win. Let me see what Jets team total. Okay, I would take the Jets team total under. Looking at future points, just trying to give you an idea. Um, they did put up 30 points against the Steelers, but as we saw, the Steelers are not a good team. The Bucks defense is way, leaps and bounds ahead of what the Steelers defense is right now. And the Jets offense, I think Justin Fields just got hurt, so he's out for concussion protocol. So Tyrod Taylor is your quarterback for the Jets. Yeah, I'm not really loving Tyrod Taylor to put up 23 touchdowns. I don't think that's going to be something that's going to get done against this Bucks defense. And the Bucks defense is really good at stopping the run, so that kind of limits Brees Hall, in the sense of his running ability. I would expect the Bucks to really emphasize that, force Tyrod Taylor to throw, those third and longs, and I don't see him getting that done. We got Colts Titans, and this is an interesting one with Cam Ward under center for the Titans. I believe he's still playing. There's so many quarterback injuries I can't remember right now, but with the way the Colts have looked, for this to only be a 3.5 game is surprising. With that said, I wouldn't be surprised Titans come out here and win it straight up on the money line just because of how Vegas is acting. This should be a touchdown difference game. With how the Colts played, with how the Titans have looked, there's no reason that the Colts don't come out here and just keep their momentum going. Unless we're expecting, a real fall off from the Colts, which I don't foresee happening. But I don't hate bumping this up to -6.5 and the Colts to lay the point. I mean, plus 120 for 6.5. That's not bad odds. Obviously, -3.5 is a safe play, a good play, but getting those plus odds, I think the Colts will come out here and just continue their momentum and put up a ton of points here. Now, as far as where are we going? Team props. I like the under on the Titans total here. I'm probably staying away from the team total for the Colts. I can certainly see, that probably lean over, but I'm probably gonna stay away from that. Lean the under on the Titans here, but yeah, a play for these guys would definitely be the -3.5 on the Colts' favor or bumping up to 6.5. I don't hate that. We got the Raiders Commanders. This is an interesting one because the Raiders looked terrible against they played the Chargers. I can't remember right now, but they did not look good. They did not put a complete game together. They did not. Geno Smith had 3 turnovers and was chucking every down. They didn't get the ball to, the running back Gianti. Their defense was giving up, points, allowing them to move the game. Right at the end, the Raiders had a chance. They got a turnover, and then they just couldn't move. So it was not a good look for the Raiders here. And again, with the Commanders, though, they haven't looked great as of late either. Jaden Daniels definitely hitting a sophomore slump. You can start to see that formulate, and I don't know if we're going to see the Commanders that we saw last year really come out this year. I mean, Bill has definitely looked good. Crosby Merritt, I think he's going to get going here, and they can definitely run the ball on this Raiders defense. We saw that happen. It's that pass rush that's going to get you led by Max Crosby. That's where Daniels can definitely take some hits, make some mistakes, forced to throw early. Nobody wants to get hit by Crosby when he comes flying off the edge. So I can see Daniels trying to get that ball out a little bit quicker. And just the way he's been playing, it hasn't been accurate, hasn't been consistent. He hasn't been, in that system. A lot of film out on him now. So, a lot of teams' defenses are able to narrow down and figure out different cadences and things that he does that they're able to pick up on. So, don't love this game. I don't love even these team totals. I don't love. I think if you do have to pick something, I'm going Commanders. Obviously, if I bump it down to 2.5, yeah, that tanks the odds. So I would say probably the Commanders -3.5, but I would steer clear of this game. This is not a fun one. Bengals Vikings, 2 backup quarterbacks in definitely very different quality and backup quarterbacks as well. You got the Vikings, who I believe they're starting Carson Wentz, right? I think that's who their backup's Carson Wentz, and you're going up against Jake Browning. I put all my faith in Carson Wentz in this matchup. -3, I can certainly see that happening. I'm probably hitting player props here. I'm going, Jefferson over, Wentz over. He can come out. He can read a defense. He's done it before. He's played before. And Jake Browning snuck out a win last week. Bengals really had no business winning that game against the Jags, but the Jags are just the team that just keeps handing games away. So nothing really interesting to look at there. I do like this over for the Vikings. I could seriously see this being a Carson Wentz get back game. He comes out, he looks amazing, looks like old Carson Wentz, and I think the Vikings may find their starter moving forward. I don't know if JJ McCarthy comes back and takes over. I think he can definitely do with another year behind somebody. And I mean, Carson Wentz is definitely a good, formidable quarterback. So I can see this. I don't hate the over here, 42.5. I can certainly see points being scored in this game. But I like the Vikings to cover. I mean, -3 is definitely good there. And then team props, I actually like the over here. If I bump it up to 23, I like the 23.5 over for the Vikings at plus odds. I can certainly see 24 points for them with 3 touchdowns, a field goal. That's something that can definitely get done in this game. So those are some things to lean, some things to pick. We'll go back through at the end and kind of see what really stands out to us as far as games to pick. Now let's take a look here. Where were we? Steelers Patriots. This is a tough one. I'm not even gonna dive into it too much. The Steelers week 1 blown out of proportion. That's never gonna happen again. I don't believe so. Under the Steelers team that's led by Aaron Rodgers, and their defense is not looking good right now. They got blown up again in week 2. Rodgers looked like 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers again. I like the Patriots straight up money line on this. There's no other, dipping back in. I think May's better in the Patriots system. I think the Patriots defense was able to work a little bit better, a little bit more aggressive because there is just so much film and so much information out there on Rodgers. And then, you're going in here. Trayvon Henderson is definitely a decent running back for the Patriots. And the Steelers just haven't been able to get that run game going. It's basically giving Aaron Rodgers the ball and having him throw, which worked out in week 1, didn't work in week 2, and I don't see it working forward because that was the Jets' plan last year, and that didn't work. Texans Jags is interesting. Once again, I like Texans money line here. I don't even hate if you flip it and go Texans -1.5 and do the plus odds there. But keep it simple. Go Texans money line. The Texans are 0-2. They're gonna bounce back. They're gonna want to get right, and the Jaguars just love giving games away. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Trevor Lawrence. I don't know if it's Doug Peterson, but they do love handing the ball to the other team in the fourth quarter, 1-possession games. I don't know what's going on there, but until they figure that out and until they get that under control, I like the Texans in this one. It's going to be a money line. It's probably more a little lean, but I don't hate, you flip this over to -1.5, do the points that way. Saints Seahawks +7.5 is interesting. I don't think the Seahawks have really looked that outstanding, but it's the Saints. I mean, there's nothing great that you can really say for the Saints. I mean, Kamara's looked Olave's looked Spencer Rattler actually was surprisingly a little bit better than we had anticipated, but nothing that's been great in all odds of this. And the team total, I would smash the Saints over team total. I do not think this Seahawks defense is going to be something that's formidable. 2 touchdowns and a field goal gets you over the 17. I like this Saints over team total here. Definitely like leaning that. And then I actually don't hate if you want to go straight game line, the Saints +7.5. I can certainly see that happening that way as well. We got Broncos, Chargers, and this is an interesting one. Two teams that have looked pretty good. Obviously, the Chargers have looked significantly better. Their opponents that they've taken down have been significantly better. But yeah, there's definitely two teams that are being contested for the playoff spots. Do like the Chargers in this game -2.5. I would take that. Straight up, no messing around. I do think the Chargers and Justin Herbert and all them get out here. They get the job done. Harbaugh's just, got his system going. He likes Herbert. He likes things going. Sean Payton, on the other hand, trying to get Bo Nix moving along, certainly has done a very good job. But I just think the Chargers defense is too much for this Broncos. Broncos led Bo Nix, or Bo Nix led Broncos. How does that go? However that goes. But Chargers defense was the best last year in points allowed. So fewest points allowed last year. They are coming out and they're leading the way this year. They certainly look good. They're stopping the run. They're doing good in the secondary. I think Bo Nix is going to struggle. I don't think the Broncos really have gotten that run game going to where, J.K. Dobbins is pushing the line of scrimmage much. Their offensive line is pushing the line of scrimmage. So Chargers -2.5 or -2.5. Not really reading too much into it. We're taking that one straight up. This is an interesting one. Unless there's some major injuries for the Cowboys, I like a Cowboys money line here. I don't know. It does seem interesting. I would check on that before I, actually made a pick here, but I would think the Cowboys will come out here and handle business. Caleb Williams has not looked good. The Bears defense has not looked great. The Cowboys, they just put up one of the best games we've seen in a while with the Giants. Granted, it was the Giants, but what that means, they can score. The Cowboys can connect. The Cowboys can look good. I think the Cowboys defense comes out and just says, okay, that was a little fluke. We'll show you guys that we can hold teams, under 20 points, under 17 points, however you want to play it. I like the under here as well for team total. I'm not somebody who's going to ever back the Bears led by Caleb Williams until we see something that, makes us think they can win tough competition games. And right now they can't. So I like the Cowboys. I like Dak. CD, I think it's just a little better team, a lot more chemistry. This Bears team just doesn't look like they're connecting, doesn't look like they're lined up and in position to make a playoff run. These Cowboys you can see them in the playoffs. So definitely take the, you can go Cowboys money line or you can go Cowboys -1.5, get plus odds, but definitely leaning that side. Now, this is a tough one because of the injuries. There was no injuries, 49ers, easy. I would take the point. I would lay the points, whatever. With no Purdy, looks like he is ruled out another week as well with the turf toe. And then you got Kittle, who doesn't appear to be coming back in this week 3. Let me see if there's any. Okay, yeah, that's all last week. Let's see if there's any injury updates. So basically, it's just another. Mac Jones certainly looked good. You got the expectation of what Mac Jones can do, and that's certainly what we saw there. But it's just a tough game to call. I kind of like the under here. Both teams don't have Cardinals are definitely more complete than the Niners right now, but the Niners defense, I can see holding the Cardinals, and then I can see the Niners offense just not able to kind of get going, score the points. So I kind of like the under here. What do we got in team props? Yeah, I don't. Maybe under on the Niners, but I think this game is you hit the unders on points. Just too many injuries and not a good enough Cardinals offense. All the injuries on the Niners and the Cardinals are still, set to lose. So definitely think hitting the under there is a play. And I don't understand how Chiefs Giants is our primetime game on Sunday night. What is going on here? That is primetime, right? No, they're primetime. Why? Why are the Chiefs Giants primetime? Makes no sense to me. I think you go over here. You take the over, like 29 and a half. I think the Chiefs score like 30 points this game. I think they smoke the Giants here. I could see a minus 9.5. They've heard the rumors. They're 0-2. Mahomes has never lost 3 straight games. This goes back to the Super Bowl last year. Mahomes has never started 0-2. So I don't think they're gonna go 0-3. I think they're gonna make a statement game. I think this defense is gonna keep going. I think the defense feeds off the offense, which is gonna tear up this Giants secondary. I mean, don't really see a way. I mean, the Giants have gave up 28 points. They gave up 40 points against the Cowboys. I could see them giving up another 30 plus here against the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs. I mean, I would go minus 9.5, honestly. You can take the points if you want to be a little conservative, but I think the Chiefs win by 15 pretty easily here in this game. And then Monday night, rounding it out, we got I think it's the Lions Ravens. This is going to be a good one. They do have the Ravens set to win pretty handedly. Over not pretty handedly, but I mean, anytime you're over a field goal, the Lions definitely in favor. They're thinking, oh, the Ravens have an easier shot here. Can't say I disagree. I certainly like the Lions. I like the over in this aspect. The Ravens defense just hasn't looked that great. They gave up all those points to the Bills just in the fourth quarter. They fell apart. I mean, that was a 40-point game there. Last week they didn't exactly put, bunch together. Granted, the Ravens came out and handled business as we expected them to, but they didn't look like a top-notch team last week. That defense still is struggling to get things going. And I think this Lions offense flipped that switch in week 2. They started connecting. They started figuring things out without Ben Johnson there. I think they keep this going. I like an over here if you want to go points. But honestly, I would go Raven, or not the Ravens, the Lions team total over 23.5. I can certainly see 24, 25 points in this game for the Lions. Now let's head back through. Just grab points. The best bets that we're thinking. We always do 2 futures. Bets for the upcoming Sunday as the lines drop. I like this Browns plus 8.5. I can certainly see that being, getting together and getting those things moving. And then I like this Colts minus 3.5. I think those are the 2 bets that I am, all definitely behind. I do like the Patriots money line. I do like the Texans money line. But I am going to leave off those as official best bets. Officially, we are going Browns plus 8.5, and then we are going Colts minus 3.5. Those are going to be the 2 future picks. Let me know if you guys are tailing.